and government's ability to respond to provide road, so many unplanned settlements have developed. If we leave those unplanned settlements, you will be the first to say that they are slums and government has neglected them. If we go in there to try and make change, you will say we are pulling down their houses. Please tell us what we should do. Because when we went into Ajegunle, for example, and we tried to build some of their roads, we designed a network of like 19 roads, and we thought we would be finished in about 7 months. The contractor came back to tell us that we first had to establish 2 meters of refuse and refill with sand to even begin to build the base of the road. Now, more importantly, we are a government that was formed on the basis of rules. Those rules are embodied in the Constitution that I swore to defend, and the laws that were made under that Constitution by my colleagues in the State House of Assembly. Now, it cannot be right for you to get onto a highway and set up a house there and say you have a right and that is human rights. What about the rights of the other people? Some people just took against the motor road because they wanted to trade and denied millions, over 6 million daily commuters from using a road built with their money. That cannot be human rights. But having said that, we are mindful of the economic developmental level of our country, and at every point, I have been the last person to insist on rights. I have been the last person to insist on rights, and the people in the wisdom had no right. But I paid compensation nonetheless to enable us to meet them. The people who were trading on Agitimoto had no right to be on the railway line. But we resolved that we will build a market for them. We are building a new market for them. And I will count dozens of instances of these cases where we have shown compassion, and I meant what I said, and it is demonstrable that we are a government that cares. But we have an abiding responsibility here to use the time-tested principle of delivering the greatest good to the greatest number as is possible within our resources. Specifically on Tejo Show, like already said, there was a fire, the structures gave way. Our structural engineers could not recommend that we allow people to continue there because there was an imminent bigger disaster coming in there. People would probably have died if it had suddenly collapsed. Here we are in a country that imports cement, in a country that imports iron rods. And as I've also said, there is no low-cost cement and there is no low-cost iron rod. It is the same quality of cement. Now, our exchange rate is over 100 naira to procure $1. Now, there was no way the developer here could deliver this unless he was going to do it at a loss. But what we have done, and this is what you must help us communicate to our people in greater detail. Whether the house is delivered at 1 million naira or at 10 million naira, I know that many people will never afford it unless we make the mode of payment easy and convenient over a sustainable period. And that is why we have insisted that any market there in Tejo must come with a mortgage facility of not less than 15 years. So I don't think anybody should lose sleep about how much it costs to buy it per square meter. I don't know those figures of head. What you should be concerned about is whether you can pay at your own convenience. whether you can pay at your convenience. If I offer a house to my public servants at 10 million naira, if I ask them to pay 10 million naira today, I am actually inciting them to fraud and corruption. But once I tell them that for the period of the remaining 20 years that you have in service, or 30 years, or 15 years, you can pay this thing monthly, I am actually creating a renewal of dedication to work, because he knows that as long as he stays at work, he will retain the ability to pay, he will have a roof over his head, and that is one of the easiest ways we can eliminate corruption and crime. I'm sorry, the gentleman who asked the question about human rights and the trials in court. Let me say that when cases of a criminal nature go to court, there are two interests here concerned. The interest of the accused who is standing trial, and the interest of the victim of the crime. When that victim is dead, the interest of his successors and his defendants are also important. So it's not just enough to look at it that somebody has been in court for so long. But I think that you have answered the question when you said that one of the parties, and I'm being very careful here because the matter is sub judice, when you said that one of them, the trial was concluded and discharged. As far as I'm aware, the other trial is not concluded, and we have had not less than 1 or 2 appeals all the way to the Supreme Court on interlocutory points. And this is a criminal trial that ordinarily should not have taken more than 2 legal years at the most. So I think the first thing to see is how speedily that trial can be concluded. It is important for society, it is important for you and I also, never to give the impression that the wheels of justice will not turn. That is the only thing that protects you and me. It's the law. There was a question about true face. Well, this is my own true face. Let me say that also, that in one of my addresses, I said that at the appropriate time we will respond. But we will not respond to allegations that are not factual. When you confront us with the evidence of our impropriety, we will respond. We stand here offering our integrity as our collective collateral that entitles us to govern the state. And my colleagues and I remain very ready to defend everything that we have done in the last 3 years. But we will not be distracted by allegations that have no substance. And in any way, an arm of our government that has the appropriate supervisory and oversight responsibility for how we have applied appropriations given to us. The House of Assembly has called upon an investigation into the matter. So, what else do you want us to do, really? And another arm of government, the judicial arm, is saying, hold on a second, we are reviewing things. I think it is fair and proper to allow the instrument and the organs of government to work in the way that we expect that they were set up to work. The last